Welcome to the World United. Welcome to the World United.
I now call upon Savio Rodriguez to have a short talk to us. Let me introduce Savio ji. He is the founder and editor-in-chief of Goa Chronicles, and he's an author. His bestseller book is Modi Stole My Mask, and he believes in rising above than destructing. His favorite subjects are law, politics, religion, and spirituality. So he would be giving us a talk on interpretation of religion is the root cause of conflict around the world. Over to you, Rodriguez.
Thank you for inviting me to this wonderful gathering of people. It's humbling to attend this, and let me start by saying the first thing that has always been something that has influenced me. So, Karl Marx had said, religion is the opium of the masses. I took it a step further and I created a saying that's an extension to what Karl Marx said. And I've put it out on social media. I've used it at many of my speeches as well. Religion is the opium of the masses. When people get high on it, they behave like asses. The reason being, people, when they get high on religion, without understanding the true intent of religion, without understanding the true intent of religion being really a map to the door of spirituality, they get so convoluted in the idea of their interpretation of religion that they start thinking that their religion is the only way forward and every other religion is merely a religion there to fool the people. So when I was doing my course with a very prestigious international university last year, the topic was on religion, conflict, and peace. And we did about 50 studies around global conflicts happening. And these were conflicts happening all around the world. And at every root of every conflict, what I had noticed is that religion seems to be the actual cause of conflict. Religion, in some cases, but in most cases, interpretation of the religion were the causes of conflicts around the world. You can take a case of Nigeria, for example, the Boko Haram, the way they behave with regards to the atrocities that they've been meting out on people in Nigeria. That's driven by religion. If you look at what's happening to the Rohingyas in Myanmar, that again is driven by religion. If you look at all over the world, even if you go to a place like Ireland, again, you have a conflict that is based on religion. So you have religion as the root cause of conflict around the world. Now, the reason is everybody, in terms of the leaders of religious organizations, whether they are Christians, whether they're Islamic, whether they're the Jewish religion, whether it's people from the Hindu religion as well, somehow they believe that it is important for them to protect their territory. The Christian and Islamic religions believe that proselytization allows them to grow their religion. And you have the other religions that spend time in defending their religion. And in all this, it's very interesting to note that in all this, what they forget that the most important creation of God in whichever religion you want to look at was humans and humanity itself. And that's what they forget. So it's sometimes absolutely horrific to realize that in the name of God of a particular religion, you have people who stab, behead people who don't belong to their religion at all. Or you have people who go out to people from different religions telling them that their way of belief in God is wrong and therefore you have to follow my way or you're going to go to hell. The whole idea is religion, in a nutshell, was not God created. religion is created by man. What is God created? God created is his creation or her creation. God is an energy. He's created humanity. He's created nature. He's not distinguished between one person or the other. God is not distinguished between one animal or the other. In the eyes of God, everyone is equal. Therefore, when nature has its fury, when there is a flood that happens, the flood doesn't take a look at whether the person is good or bad. It's not judging somebody. It goes ahead and destroys whatever is in its path. The same way it is with the sun. The sun shines on the good and the bad. So who are we, mere mortals, responsible for deciding which person or which religion is closer to God? I don't think the creator, it's like a parent, right? Today I have two daughters. Imagine if I had to choose between one or the other. I wouldn't be a good parent. So how can God choose between this religion, say Christianity or Islam or a Hindu? In the eyes of God, all of them are his children. Therefore, religion, in some cases, but the interpretation of religion, in most cases, is the root cause of conflict in the world. Religion, in my understanding, is purely a map that brings you to the door of spirituality. You can choose to open the door of spirituality and walk in. But many a times, we ignore the door and we continue to walk or run around in that vicinity of that map, being completely confused because we think the map is a maze. But the maze is only created in our mind. And that, my friends, is the unfortunate aspect of life around the globe. It is not something that is only related to India. It is all over the world. People thrive on conflict on religion. People kill, people rape using religion as the cause of causing that atrocity. And that is shameful. That is very, very shameful. And it's also very sad because, if you strip yourself naked of all the baggage of religion, of all the baggage of caste, of all the baggage of social strata in society, you will be nothing but a simple, naked individual. And the only difference between two naked people will be probably their weight or their color. And that's really not much of a difference. Today, I'm born in a Christian family. Did I have a choice in that? Today, some of you are born in Hindu families. Did you have a choice in that? The truth is, the real aspect, the real connectivity is in the universal consciousness of humans. And that's why the greatest way of life is to live the life of humanity, connected to a universal soul, as people connected to a universal consciousness, and to take the blinkers that are put by religion in front of your eyes to see the truth of humanity, to see the truth of life. And the truth of life is to live in harmony and peace with one another. So I repeat myself, like I said in the start, religion is the opium of the masses. When you get high on it, and when people get high on it, they behave like asses. We are humans, we're not asses. look towards spirituality, and that's the way forward to life, to harmony with all human beings and with nature. Thank you.
Can you please elaborate as to, as you said, it's not our choice to be born in the religion we are. So can you give some examples to? Yeah.
Okay. I come from a Christian faith. Okay.
Yeah.
And the only belief I have of my Christian faith that has value to me is the fact that Jesus in the Bible spoke about love God with all your heart and love your neighbor as yourself. But I'm a strong believer of the Sanatana Dharma principles as well. If you want to look at what Sanatana Dharma principles are all about, it's about finding the God in you and finding the God around you, which in a nutshell is the same principle at the core of both the teachings, which is to find value within you and around you. Now, when you are born, I'm born in a Christian family, right? There would have been a reason I was born in a Christian family, to understand the Christian faith, to understand the Christian's faith in accordance with what's happening around the world. Today, with the studies that I do and with the kind of work that I do, I'm looking at religions across. So right now I'm in the process of actually completing, my studies in theology and divinity with a very prestigious university, international. So the whole idea is try and look at religion devoid of the fact that it is breaking up the world. So today you could have been born a Hindu. Does that mean that your religion is superior to mine? What is the superiority between us? It's like a discussion I had with a priest, okay? I asked the priest, let me give you a story of two people. One is John. Now, John is a man that goes to church every Sunday without fail. He attends all the festivals that are there in the church in terms of the masses, in terms of being seen, doing the right thing as far as the church is, principles are required. But John is a womanizer. He's a wife beater. He gambles away his money. And most importantly, he continues to philander with other women. That's John. But he goes for Sunday masses. He attends all the church events and meetings. And he has the face of a religious Christian person. Then you have Sham. Sham never attends the temple at all, even on festivals. But he is hardworking. He saves for his children. He does not beat his children. He does not beat his wife. And he does not philander with other women as well. So when both of them die and they come in front of Jesus, because I was talking to a Catholic priest on the issue, who do you think is going to enter the kingdom of heaven?
Yeah, the one.
So the priest didn't have an answer.
Yeah.
He deflected the question. He's saying, it's people like you who ask these strange questions. I said, no. It's people like you who don't understand the message that Jesus actually gave. The message of Jesus was based on actions, not words. The message of love, the message of unconditional love, is to accept the human in the person, not his baggage. Is to accept the nakedness of the human, not his baggage. Because inside, we are all naked individuals connected to a universal consciousness, and that universal consciousness is love.
Thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you.